We may be witnessing the greatest scientific breakthrough in our lifetime, and it's currently driving the scientific community into chaos. A trio of South Korean researchers have claimed they've created a new material called LK-99 that they say has superconducting properties at room temperature. And that could mean a future of levitating trains and quantum devices is not that far off. Now, before we dive into the controversy, let's take a step back and do a little mini science lesson on what a superconductor actually is. I'm sure you remember the lesson on conductors in elementary school science class. This is where you learn that conductors are basically materials or substances that allow electrons or energy to flow through them. This could be something like copper or steel or even gold. The key difference between the conductors that we learn about and a superconductor is superconductors allow for those electrons to flow through the material with almost no resistance at all. So that sounds more efficient, but why does it really matter? Well, we use over 100 billion kilowatts per hour of electricity every single year just in the US on transmission losses from that inefficiency of normal conductors. That's the equivalent of 3 nuclear reactors running 24/7. And these losses add up so quickly because they're taking place in everyday items that we have, like our phones or computers or the lights that we switch on in our house or our office. Okay, that'll make sense. So why don't we just take superconductors and replace all of the conductors that we have in our everyday life? It's not quite that simple. We do have superconductors today in things like MRI machines or early quantum computers, but they only display these superconducting properties at really low temperatures or really low pressures. And this makes them highly impractical for everyday widespread use. So let's go back to the original paper that has kind of started this chaos and started this discussion. This team of researchers believes they have created a material that has these superconducting properties, but you can do it at room temperature. You don't need a super cold environment to make this work, essentially leading to a potential future of almost lossless energy transfer. Our phones would no longer have to overheat if we're using them for too long or they're out in the sun. We could have levitating trains, a super efficient electrical grid. It would be stuff of science fiction, and now it is becoming a potential reality. And while this could prove to be a major discovery, a lot of scientists are coming together to challenge the merit of the research done in this original paper. And you can see some of this contention in articles like this. This is Michael Norman, a theorist at Argonne National Lab, basically calling these initial researchers amateurs and not having an understanding of superconductivity at all. But perhaps the most interesting line of this quote is when Michael says people here are taking it seriously and trying to grow this stuff. And while it all might be made up or a hoax, it's bringing a lot of interest to this field of superconductors.